Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the TGE Quarantine Chronicles. My guest today is going to be my cat. We're going to figure out when the cats are sick of our stuff, and they're trying to figure out when we're going to actually get back to work so we can leave them alone to live out their cat lives. Nah, just kidding. My guest today is
Mr. A.A. Ron. Mr. A.A. Ron, good friend of mine, good travel buddy. How you doing, man?
Good, bro. How you doing? Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, my friend. Stuff's going good, just having some Mexican food later today, but just trying to get by day to day like everyone else.
Nice. Yeah, we're doing the same thing. Getting by day by day. Kind of bummed no traveling right now, but hopefully that will pass soon.
Absolutely, 100% agree. What I want to talk about today is our Italy trip we did actually 6 years ago to this day. We were in either Rome or en route to Venice 6 years ago.
Oh yes, that's right. 6 years ago, 2014, Rome. That was quite the journey getting over there. Actually, that was mine and Lisa's first trip outside the country or out to Europe, so to speak. We've been to Mexico, but Mexico's easy. But it's all easy now once you learn it. But yeah, it was quite the journey going over there. You got to be flexible with your travels. I think we did Sacramento to LA, hung out in LA for quite a few hours, if you recall.
Yes.
And
yeah.
You had the priority pass back then, and
Yeah,
that was a good thing.
Yeah, the priority pass is absolutely worth it, especially if you have a credit card that allows you to get priority pass, because you can get a lot of these airline lounges for free. Some of them include guests, some of them don't, which is fine. But the airline lounge experience, if you can get it, it's worth it, especially if you're stuck in airports or if you're waiting around for quite a while, you have a long connection time. Absolutely worth it.
Yes, definitely. I'm a firm believer in that. Because it basically, you get the free food and drinks. Some of them have private lounges where you can catch a nap or even a shower if you need a shower. It just depends. Every lounge is different, but they have an app to make it real easy for everybody. Yeah, definitely. That's the way to go. So.
Absolutely. So we ended up going to LA. We didn't make the flight out of LA. And so we had to go fly to Chicago, spend the night in Chicago, and then make it over to Charlotte. And now this was back when it was still US Airways. It wasn't even American yet. It was still US Air. And
Correct. Yeah.
that flight was kind of risky getting to Charlotte, but they ended up being some misconnects from San Francisco or something. So we ended up making the flight just fine to Rome. So
Right. Yeah, I remember that. And then the long flight over. We didn't use the lounge over in Charlotte, but had some good Southern food over there, as I recall.
absolutely, you got to have the best Southern food out there when you're in North Carolina. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good flight over there. We got to Rome and got to the hotel. Obviously, transportation at every European city is different, but I think we caught a van over to the hotel. It was probably a 25-minute drive, half-hour drive, something like that. And yeah, it was good. I think the big thing that I learned from you on that trip, or just starting this trip, was to avoid the jet lag. You stay up and get ready or not get ready, but adapt to the time zone that you're in, instead of like going, oh, I'm tired, let's go to bed, get a nap or something like that.
Yeah, because if you take a nap, it's a trap and your body clock is just all thrown off. I mean, if you're heading east, you want to try to sleep on the red eye portion over if you can. So that way, at least you're somewhat rested. But the trick is like take a quick shower and then just leave and get out and just keep moving. Because the second you stop moving is when you're going to want to take a nap, and then your body clock is all thrown off when you're over there. Because there's been a couple of trips myself where I didn't do that, or I didn't adjust as well, and I'm just groggy and miserable the whole trip, and it's not fun. So
Right.
day one, to get the boots on the ground and just move, you'll
Start
be
doing
better
things.
off. Oh yeah,
Yeah, start
absolutely.
doing things. Start going out sightseeing. Going back to the airport when we landed in Rome, I remember you going to an ATM and grabbing some euros out of there. And I don't think I did that. I think I was a little leery because that was my first trip over there. And now I'm a firm believer in that too. Is use the ATM at the airport first if you can, because that's probably the most secure ATM. And then if you have to, you can use one in town, but otherwise you just use your credit card. I made the mistake on that trip of going to a currency exchange place, and I just felt like I was totally gypped. And that's another good sound of advice is, to me, avoid those currency exchange places because of the commission that they take from you. It's awful.
It is, and not only that, they don't charge market rates. They have their own rate that they exchange it at. So you may have a market rate where a bank will give it to you. So when you pull out an ATM, at least with the credit union I'm with, they usually charge you market rate plus 1% fee, which is great because if you pull $100, you only get hit with $1. That's it.
Right.
So it's easy. A lot of these places that do currency exchanges, it's their own rate. So they're already making a little bit extra for each dollar you convert over, plus an extra fee, like, oh, it's $7, $12, whatever. So you end up with less money than if you would just go to an ATM. So, I mean, back in the earlier days of travel, when people had travelers checks and everything else, where the ATM networks weren't really talking with each other, that was really the only way to travel, is travelers checks and currency
Right.
exchange. That's it. But now with technology nowadays, you can go to any ATM, and most if not all of them are all connected on those big central bank networks where you can just pull out money, and not too bad. I mean, some banks are a little bit more severe on their percentages. Like some banks charge like 3% fee, 5% fee.
Yeah.
But even those fees, depending upon how much you pull out, you're still making out ahead than if you were to go to a currency exchange
Oh
place.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And then one big tip too that I usually don't take into account myself every once in a while, the extra money you have left over. So if you have euros and you're flying home, you're like, oh, I'll just exchange it when I get home back into US dollars. Best thing you can do is go to a souvenir shop at the airport, and then you just throw all your money down, and then whatever is over, they can take with a credit card. So that way, at least you burn all your uh, local currency before you head home.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Definitely, because like right now, I have euros and pesos and pounds and yen and everything, and I just keep it all in different Ziploc bags in case I head back. But no, that's a good idea, hitting the gift shop. I mean, basically the way I'm doing it is cluttering a drawer basically, but it's all good.
Hey, it's all good, man. I got cluttered door myself too with a whole bunch of different currencies, so I totally get it. It's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
um, but with Rome, when we got into Rome, the first day we went out into town, we stayed at the
I think it
Marriott.
was the Marriott over by the Toyota grounds.
Yeah, so it was in between the airport and Rome, because the closer you get into Rome, like the hotel prices were just super expensive. Because if you stay out
Yeah,
there, it was like under $100 a night. It was ridiculously cheap. And
right.
so you had to take a bus um, into town. They run it like every hour or so,
Yeah.
which is nice. And then they would drop you off like right in the center of town, and you go walk around, check out. And I think the first day we just kind of just moseyed around. We did like the Spanish Steps and Trevi Fountain, and just kind of like local, just boots on the ground sightseeing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That was, we did that the first day. We did the Spanish Steps, and yeah, you got to be careful over there in Rome. I mean, there's a lot to see, but there's a lot of there's the pickpockets going on. Spanish Steps is that can happen over there. And then there's the people trying to sell you flowers. Um, Yeah, I think we fell for a little stunt over
Hey,
there.
not even selling flowers, man. It's like they
Yeah,
like try to like put the flower on you, like they pretty much like throw
yeah,
it at you, like.
yeah. You definitely got to be careful over there because anywhere, but yeah, there's always somebody trying to make some money somehow over there, and just got to be careful and cognizant of your surroundings, basically. But yeah, Spanish Steps was awesome, um, a really neat feature, and then we did the Coliseum,
That's
and there
right. We
was a
did.
long line to the Coliseum, as I recall, and you were using an app called Viator.
Yes, I was getting on. I think it was either Viator or I was trying to get on like the actual website for the Coliseum to actually buy tickets online to skip the line.
Yeah,
Because a lot of these places, um, you can uh, buy directly online
right.
and skip the line. You just go right to the ticket booth and be like, "Hey, I'm here to pick up my ticket," and they're like, "Okay, print it out. Here you go, done."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good thing to use over there as well as Viator. I've done it in London and I've done it in Barcelona. It helps save time, and sometimes you don't even have to go to the ticket booth to exchange it. They'll just email you a digital copy and they'll scan the barcode and you're good to go. But yeah, huge time saver there, and get a little bit of a discount. Now we didn't do that when we went to the Vatican. As I remember the
No.
Vatican, the line around the Vatican can be, I don't know, a half a mile long, if not longer. It's amazing how many people are trying to get in there. And when you first get there and you see that half-mile long line, that's kind of discouraging.
It really is. And so we went in May, and there is a way to buy tickets online for the Vatican, but they sell out pretty quick in the high season. And of course, high season, we couldn't really get in. So we were really discouraged. We're like, oh man, this ain't going to happen. And then, of course, there's all these touts right outside the Vatican,
Yeah,
the Italy Vatican border. They're like, oh, hey, front of the line pass, you can see the Sistine Chapel, this and that. And of course we hear it. And of course they're charging like, it was pretty outrageous. It was like
yeah,
70 euros. It was something
yeah,
ridiculous. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Like, nah, we ain't going to do this. But as we get further and further along and you saw the line like wrap around the one corner, like went way down the street, you're like,
Yeah,
you know what? When are we ever really going to be back here? We don't know. So it's like, might as well do it. So we did it. We went with the tour group, one of those touts, but it was fine. It was amazing. I mean, it was extra money
yeah.
out,
Oh
but I
yeah.
mean, they got like right into the front of the line. We got right in, saw the Sistine Chapel. We saw everything in the Vatican that we wanted to see. And it was great. I mean, I don't
It
recommend
was
it.
worth it.
Obviously, it was
Yeah.
worth it. I don't recommend it because you can do other stuff online and it's cheaper. But if it's sold out online, then do it. I mean, if you don't know when you're ever going to be back to Italy, I mean,
Right.
do
Right.
it.
No, that's a big time saver there, especially if you're only in Rome for a couple of days. Which I mean, you only need a couple of days in Rome, but I mean, there is a lot to see. But yeah, Vatican is absolutely amazing place. So many people trying to get in there. Definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy because I went once with the wife during low season a little bit, and there was like no line. It was ridiculous. Like I'm imagining like this huge long line, and it's really seasonal because I showed up and it's like, where's the line? And there's no
Yeah.
line because it's
Yeah.
low season. It's like just
Right.
just just get in. Like, oh, okay. Like, so it's very very seasonal. But I mean, we'll see what happens after this lockdown and see what happens
Yeah.
after quarantine and see what's going on. So,
Yeah.
but
For sure.
yeah, definitely check out the Vatican Coliseum. I mean, everything in Rome was fantastic.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I'm surprised how much pizza they eat over there. It's everything's pizza. Everything's pizza, and uh, I was expecting to see a little bit different. I mean, they have the places where they have the meats and cheeses and But just a lot of pizza places. Obviously, Rome is a big tourist city, so they cater a lot to the tourist. But and they even have their own subway system.
They do. It's not really super intricate because they do have a train line that goes from the airport right into downtown Rome, if that's where your destination's at. They have an express train and a local train. They do have a couple train lines that go through the city, just a few. But then the subway, there's only two lines. It's like a north-south and an east-west line that cuts over. They only had two lines when we were over there. I know they're trying to build a third line, but I knew they were running into issues with that third line because every time they dig out, they would find artifacts. So they have to start for the archaeologists to come in and excavate it out. And so it's really cool. But yeah, there is a subway in Rome to get around too, because Rome is a great walking city, especially in town. Because there is a lot of car traffic, but there's a lot of streets that are closed off to cars. So it's a real easy walking city, but there is subways, but it depends upon where you're going, if the subway actually works out or not, or if you just have to hoof it on foot.
Yeah. And I mean, I was surprised how busy that subway is. It's probably just as busy as the Manhattan subway system, I think, but still easy to use. Manhattan, the New York Manhattan subway system is pretty easy to use too, but the one in Rome is good for getting around. And as I recall, we used it for finding the best gelato in Rome.
We did, because I went on, again, TripAdvisor. I don't know what it's about app. TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
It just the ranking system that it has, like, I really enjoy it because it's like when I'm in town, it's like I want the best of the best. Like if I'm only there for a short period of time, like I don't want to mess around. So this place was in a suburb, I think in the southeast of Rome a little bit. And so we took the subway to get out there, but then we had to walk quite a bit too. We had to walk at least a half a mile afterwards.
Yeah.
It was a very long walk, and I'm just like, oh man, we ain't gonna find this place. This is not gonna be worth it. Come to find out, it was literally the best gelato in Rome. It was amazing because we went a lot of the touristy places, like, some of the gelato shops are like by Trevi Fountain and in town here and there. And it was all right. I mean, but yeah, this place that was in that one little suburb, it was to die for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, now we're hooked on gelato. Every time we go over there, it's gelato. Got to get the gelato.
Gelato
for sure.
And pizza, man. The pizza's
gelato and pizza.
I mean,
no anchovies though.
No anchovies, man. But surprisingly, the pizza prices weren't really that bad either. Like you can get a good pizza for like dirt cheap over there. And so it's like if you're on a budget, like just keep eating those carbs.
Right. Yeah. So Rome was a really good experience. I think I learned that the cafes and the coffee shops and even the ice or gelato shops, they all have free Wi-Fi there. You just have to purchase something and you always ask for the code. And I think that holds true in most of the European cities. But I have a mobile hotspot device now because it's just easier for getting around. Yeah.
I agree because I have a mobile hotspot too, but sometimes I'll buy the international plan that comes with my cell provider. So I have Verizon, but it's $10 a day per device. And so like if you have a lot of people traveling, it can add up real quick. So we have a mobile device called Skyrim, and Skyrim's great because they charge only about $8 to $9 to $10 a day for a pass, but good for up to 5 devices, which is wonderful. But what I'm going to try to do and experience, because I'm actually having a problem because the new flagship Samsung phone that just came out, the S20 Ultra, the 512 gigabyte phone is hard to find. Like I had it on back order since March 6th. I have had this phone on back order for 2 months, still haven't gotten it yet. They canceled my order randomly. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so I called in, tried to see what's up, complained about it. Like, hey, I don't mind waiting for it. Like, I don't care if I have to wait 2 more months. Like, it's not a big deal. But like, keep my order in place because I don't want to try to fight for it, get like in the back of the line for shipping. Like that's
Right.
not cool. Like, like
No.
I don't mind waiting. It's just, I don't want to be in the back of the line. So what happened was I called and complained. 2 days later, they emailed me saying, hey, we found a secret shipment of some unlocked phones. They're not carrier based. They're unlocked. Like if you're interested, we'll send you a link to email. And I'm like, okay, I haven't gotten the email yet. It's supposed to happen sometime later this week. But with the unlocked phones, I found out you can actually buy local SIM cards in those countries. So you don't keep your phone number. So you get a European phone number, or wherever you're at, you get a local phone number. But the rates they charge is like ridiculously cheap. It's like free incoming text is like 8 cents per text message sent. It's like 15 cents per international phone call. It's dirt cheap. And so I like to experience that and kind of figure out, like, because I heard some people do that because it's cheaper. So it's like, okay, let me see apples to oranges, like experiment what's going to be cheaper in the long run. So I'm excited to try that out and see.
Yeah, for sure. I love Skyroam. They have some sales on some of their day passes too, so you can get some pretty good deals with them. It's good.
I'm a huge fan of Skyroam too. So, and if the more you buy, the more day passes you buy, the cheaper it is per day. So
I know. I'm just thinking I probably have like at least 20 passes right now because I've bought them on sale, and it's like I need to use these, but I can't go anywhere.
But at least they're good.
Frustrating.
At least they're good forever, though. At least there's no expiration date on them, so that's a huge plus.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to Rome, I think after that first day, boy, that was we probably included a couple of days, but after our first day there, we headed back to the hotel, got a good night's sleep. You have the executive status with Marriott, which, gosh, that's another great feature is, you tie in with credit cards, and to have the executive status to get into the lounge, you get hors d'oeuvres or free drinks, bottles of water. That all saves you money, and it's a big bonus. I have the Hilton, and just to get the breakfast in the morning, as I recall, the breakfast over at the Marriott in the morning was a huge buffet, unbelievable, just everything you could imagine. It was phenomenal. And to get that as a bonus, the amount of money that you save, just totally worth it. Totally worth it. I'm a firm believer in that. And I tell people that that's what you got to do.
Exactly. If you can swing it and afford it, and if you travel enough for it, absolutely try to tie your stays to one particular brand. So that way you could earn the status. Because some people like to do the hotels.com and Airbnb and stuff. And I like Airbnb too every once in a while for like the real bigger groups, because I've gone on big group trips of like 14 people where if you rent a house on Airbnb in a neighborhood, you come out way ahead than at a room. But if you travel by yourself or in a super small group, absolutely try to tie yourself to a chain. I'm lifetime titanium now, so I'm retired from the hotel stay game with Marriott, thank God, finally. But I mean, it's been a long road. If you can meet the thresholds, even just to get the lounge access, even just to hit the lower tiers for the lounge access, it's worth it. And if you have to kind of swing a little bit extra, because like at the end of the year, some years I was short on stays, and I would just do what they call mattress runs, where you go check in at a hotel and you leave. You find a hotel like end of the year, business travel is slow, so you go to like a cheapy suburban hotel for like $49 on a weekend, Fairfield Inn, check in. I mean, when I was in the middle of it, I had one guy, it's not a Hyatt house anymore. It used to be in Rancho. He knew what I was doing. And he's like, are you doing a mattress run? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, bro, he's like, anytime you have a reservation, and if I'm working, just call and ask if I'm working. I'll just check you in and check you out. And I'm like, really? So I would call in and I'm like, hey, is so-so working? And they're like, oh yeah, hold on. So I'm like, hey, it's Adam. And it's like, oh, hey, no, don't worry. I got you, man. You're good. Oh, thanks. And like, I wouldn't even have to show up.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good.
And I mean, it's extra money, but to get the actual benefits of like the extra points, the lounge access, the free breakfasts, all the other freebies, upgrades, it's you can't put a dollar amount in it, but you really
So
can.
worth it. It's so worth it. I mean, just like, I don't know about the Marriott, but the Hilton, they have different cards now. I think they have a card now where you can pay $450 for a year. It gets you automatic diamond status, but you get like a $250 credit for the airline if you buy drinks on the airline or meals. And then you get another $250 credit for the resort if you're staying at a resort. And plus you get the free weekend night. And if you spend that weekend night uh, in the right way, I mean, you can stay at a place that's only like, not only, but it's $800 a night, and that's huge. So you definitely get your money's worth, even if you do spend that $450 to get that credit card. Mind you, like you said, you have to do a lot of traveling in order to make it worth it for you. But yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. So I like Hilton for their credit card. You can earn status just on spending on the credit card. So if you
yeah,
don't travel a whole lot, but you kind of are responsible enough to put money on the credit card, pay it off. Put money on the credit card, pay it off.
yeah,
You're responsible enough for that. You can easily get, diamond status with Hilton and not really travel a whole bunch and still reap
right,
the benefits from that. Marriott doesn't have anything like that. Their credit card, it used to be they gave you one free elite night for every like $3,000 you put on the card.
yeah,
They stopped that when they changed everything out, when they changed the program. So Marriott doesn't have anything like that. Like you literally have to put your butt in a bed to earn nights. I mean, with the credit cards, you can earn 15 night status. So to at least get lounge access, you only need 35 nights in a year just
mm-hmm,
for the platinum status, which gets you the lounge access, which is not terrible. So, I mean,
yeah.
you could travel a little bit and still hit it. But yeah, so if you don't travel a whole lot, but if you're responsible with credit card spend and you can actually afford to throw money on a card and pay it off, Hilton's the way to go. Like, I really like that. I wish Marriott would have something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, there are other hotels that have different the programs. So, I mean, my thing, I basically dedicated myself to Hilton. I know you dedicated yourself to Marriott. The nice thing about these is that when you go to these hotels, you know what to expect at most of these hotels, and if it's not right, they'll make it correct. They will make it right, and that's why I stick to the brand name instead of getting caught off guard by getting a deal on hotels.com and it doesn't look like the pictures, and then you're upset and it kind of ruins the beginning of your vacation. So
Absolutely, and that's why I like the brand chain hotels is because it's consistency. So you know exactly what you're getting, you know exactly what you're doing going into. And there's a couple of websites too, like TripAdvisor, of course, has reviews and stuff, but like
yeah,
the message board Flyer Talk has reviews too as well. And so those are like constant business travelers that are on these websites, and you can get reviews, so you can kind of get a grasp of like, oh, here's a pro, here's a con, or like, oh, breakfast is in the lounge, or oh, the lounge is too small, so instead of having breakfast in the lounge, they give breakfast in the restaurant instead for free. So you can kind
right,
of figure out where to stay if there's multiple hotels in a city. Like, oh, okay, a lot of people prefer this hotel for this reason, and it's better because at least you know exactly what you're going to get when you get into it, and then when you get into it, it's a great experience. Like the only, I wouldn't even say poor experience I had, it was just it was me, Tito, and his roommate Jose. We went to St. Petersburg when we were over in Russia for the Olympics in 2014,
yeah,
and that was 6 years ago as well. And
yeah. There you go.
we got in super early because we took the Red Arrow sleeper car train from Moscow to St. Petersburg. We got to the hotel super early. They didn't have a lot of rooms available, and so they gave me a room, but it was a smoking room. And I'm just kind of like, and you could really smell the smoke. And I was just like, oh man, this is so like in the afternoon, I sent him a message like, hey, I prefer non-smoking, this, that, because there's a guarantee with Marriott, where if they don't give you the exact room you want for elite status, they're supposed to pay you out. And like $50 or $100, I forgot what it was. But in Russia, they don't pay out cash; they pay you out in points. And so they apologize. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry. The rep just wanted to get you in a room, just to get you in a room real quick. Like, we're sorry about that." So they gave me like 50,000 points, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll move you to a luxury suite." And so they moved me to a suite afterwards.
Nice.
For the rest of the 2 days. And I was just like, "Oh wow, like that's So, but I mean, it's like it's that stuff where if you have like a small hiccup, like
you keep coming back because they're going to make it right.
Exactly. And it wasn't like, intentional. I knew it was an accident. So that's why it's like, my philosophy too, like with anything in the industry, like even restaurants, whatever, you catch more with honey than vinegar. If you come across just real pleasant, nice, like matter of fact, just easy going, you're gonna get a lot more, and you're gonna get it done right. Versus if you
absolutely. Yeah. So Rome was a good trip. After that, we went to Venice, and I think before we left there, we were trying to compare the difference in prices flying on Alitalia from Rome to Venice versus taking the train.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah,
Correct.
and the train's a high-speed train.
Mm-hmm.
Only a couple of hours. It's like, I think it's like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was about 3 hours. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. But so we did that price comparison there, and it was actually cheaper to fly from Rome to Venice. And flew on Alitalia. Pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. Got into Venice, and then we actually stayed out we stayed at a courtyard by the hotel. I mean, not by the hotel, by the airport. We stayed at a courtyard Marriott by the airport because it was like 60 euros or something. It was dirt cheap. And like, of course, anything like on the actual island of Venice was like minimum 300, 350. Of course, like I said, high season, it was super expensive. And of course, back then, there really wasn't a lot of, it's different now. There's a lot more chain hotels going into Venice now and opening up hotels. But back 6 years ago, like there wasn't a lot of chain hotels in Venice or around Venice. There wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy the tourism industry in Venice, how in just such a short span of time, it's like you went from like 2 or 3 chain hotels in Venice to like now, like between all the chains, it's 20, 25 between all the major brands.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we end up staying out by the airport just because it was cheaper. And there is a local bus that actually stops by the hotel, and it drives and it goes up on the I'll call it a causeway because we have a causeway here.
Over to the Grand Canal.
Over to the Grand Canal, yeah. And it was like the bus pass was cheap. It was like maybe €1.50.
Right.
One way to get over there. It's dirt cheap. So we get over there, and of course you take the steps over into Venice, and it's awesome. Like Venice is an amazing city. Like I love it. I love the coffee shops there, just the culture, just sipping on a cappuccino real quick or a little bit of espresso, and it's amazing. And it's easy to get lost in that city. I will say that it is so easy to get lost in that city.
Yes.
Like they will have big signs saying like, S Marco, and then like an arrow like this way and then that way. And it's like, wait, do I turn here or do I go up a bit and then turn? Like what?
Right. Yeah.
And that was fun just because of just walking around trying to figure out like how to actually get to San Marco Square and then check out the Doge's Palace, and just it's an amazing city.
It is, and doing the gondola ride in the evening was really cool. I was really surprised how dirty the water was, or murky. I'm not gonna say dirty, murky, but now from what I was reading that, because the boat traffic and the gondola traffic is down to minimums, that water's clear from what I understand right now.
Yeah, because there's not any movement of the water in traffic, so all that silt is not coming up. So now it's actually clear because the
Yeah.
silt has finally settled. So you're like, oh, okay, it's not really dirty water. It's just that there's just so much traffic that silt just keeps constantly moving in the water in the canals. And so,
Right. Yeah. I think the dolphins are even going into the canals and stuff now, just because there hasn't been anybody out on the water that much.
yeah, it's
It's got to be
crazy,
amazing to see now.
right? It's crazy.
I
Just
know they've been through tough times. Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like it was pretty bad over there. And
In the
so
wintertime, this, last winter, I mean, Venice itself was practically, I mean, it was flooding, as I recall. The square, San Marcos Square, was a couple of feet under the water, and yeah, Italy's had it really rough, or Venice has had it really rough.
yeah, and it's kind of bad that Venice was kind of putting a stop towards tourists too, because they were making these laws about like, oh, you can't have any like rolling wheel bags through the canals. I mean, through the sidewalks and stuff, or you're gonna get fined. They were limiting how many people would come in. Like, oh, you have to actually stay at a hotel in town to go in and out, but they were limiting how
Right.
many people and how much it was. They're trying to ban cruise ships from docking there just because of all the massive amounts of traffic. So, like, I mean, what happened to Italy is terrible, but like with Venice now, hopefully the crowd control measures they want to put in place, they can. So that way you can preserve the city. So that way, at least that future generations can enjoy it for years to come. Because when we went, it wasn't really quite the big tourist destination, cruise ship destination that was like it is now. I mean, it was
Right.
kind of starting a little bit, because when I flew out, my flight was full going back to Philly because cruise ship was important, and so a lot of the cruise ship's passengers were going home, and
Yeah.
so like it was kind of catching on as a cruise destination, but like right before everything happened, like it was super popular, and Venice was like, okay, hold on, we need to slow down the tourists a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That
But
was a good time.
it was a good time, and the gondola ride was amazing. Even though I went with you and your wife, I was the third wheel, so it was
That's all right.
it was
I gave you a snuggle.
I you know what, I was very lonely, so I appreciate that snuggle. So thank you. But how much was that boat ride anyways? Like 80 euros or something like that?
It was a little pricey, and I think if you got it during the sunset, it went up a little bit more, because it was more of a romantic situation. But I'm not sure if you could book that in advance or not.
I'm
There's
not.
just so many of them out there. It's crazy.
It is, and I know we had to wait a little bit because we're at one dock and like no one came
Yeah.
for like almost like a half an hour. We were standing there
Right.
waiting, and we're like,
Okay.
is anyone going to show up?
Right.
I'm like, if no one's going to show
Yeah.
up, then like, but I mean, the gondola ride and the experience, like that was pretty cool. That was amazing. But if you want to get on the waterways, there is a public bus system, but they use motorized boats on the canals too, where that goes to different stops. So if you can't afford or don't want to afford a gondola ride, you can still get out on the water
Right.
for
Yeah.
cheap.
It's great little city. You won't go hungry there. There's plenty of little restaurants, and all the food you can imagine there. It's a great place.
It is a great place. And if you ever do a water taxi, because when I went with the wife and the little one, it was 2015. It was for the World's Fair in Milan.
That's
So we went to
right.
Milan.
Yeah.
Then we went to Venice. We took the train from Milan to Venice. And same thing. It was kind of like lowish season. So there was like a fair sale. It was like, 2 train tickets for the price of one. And we're like, okay, like it was crazy. So we did that, took the train to Venice. We ended up staying at the JW Marriott at Marco Island. It's its own little island by Venice, and they have a boat that runs between that island and San Marco Square every so often. But to get to the airport, we took a water taxi, and we're like, okay, cool.
Oh,
We'll just take the water taxi right to the airport, like not a big deal.
right.
It was like 150 euros. It was really expensive. I was like,
Wow.
but like to do it cheaper though, like you would have to like take the hotel boat for free to San Marco Island, and from San Marco Island you had to take the public transit one that makes all the stops along the canal up, and then eventually get to the airport. And so like for time wise, like you had to be burning 3 hours just to try to get to the airport, which with the water taxi was only like a half an hour ride over.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so like the water taxi experience was awesome, but ouch.
Yeah. 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 You got to do your research a little bit. Some things are worth paying the extra price on some things just to have the experience in doing it.
Absolutely, because again, once in a lifetime. Like after
Once in a
that,
lifetime.
like after that trip, I haven't been back to Italy since. It's been 5 years, so who knows when you're ever going to go back. So
Yeah, you never know, especially with everything that's going on now. And we had plans to do Europe, right now, but obviously with the current situation, we're staying at home, and we're kind of thinking that maybe the rest of this year we're just gonna stay in the United States. And I mean, there's tons to see in the United States, and kind of support the United States. Um, but Europe in itself is just fabulous. I can't wait for the time that I can go back there and venture around some more.
absolutely. Or you know what? We can go invest in some hazmat suits and then just head
Yeah,
right
there
on
you go.
over. So
Look like Intel workers, with their little silver suits on, and
yeah, there you go.
No, it'll happen. It'll come back around again. The U.S. airlines and uh, all the foreign carriers will start flying back and forth again on a regular basis to make it a little bit easier. But right now, even going from point A, from East Coast to West Coast, or West Coast to East Coast on a U.S. carrier it's difficult. I mean,
it's tough just
yeah,
because there's a lot of last minute cancellations or cancellations a few days before where you think you have a plan, but then you don't have a
right.
plan. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, going back to Venice, I think you boogied a couple days afterwards. I think you were there 2 days, and Lisa and I um, we stayed there for about another half a day, and then we caught the train from there's a train station at the over by where the Grand Canal's at, and that's really easy to get on. And we took the train down to Florence, and we were on our own from there, and it was good times.
how was Florence anyway? Because I've never been in Florence. So I mean, I've been like to Milan and Pisa, but I've never been in Florence. So how is that?
Florence was good. We didn't really venture around a lot because we did choose to go to Pisa the next day, and we did Cinque Terre, which that ate up a whole day. And I think when I went to Florence, I got lost a little bit because I couldn't use the map on my phone, and that's when I said, I am getting that sky roam that Adam has, and this is never going to happen to me again. Going back to the sky roam. And it's nice because to have a map or to be able to translate something, it's totally worth it.
Oh,
Totally worth
absolutely.
it. But yeah, Florence was good. I probably have to say my most favorite place in all of Italy so far is Cinque Terre, and just amazing little villages over there. Beautiful. But yeah, it was a good trip. We did a little bit more in Italy. We did Milan, and then we flew over to Paris and hung out in Paris for a couple of days. So it was a good trip. 10 days, I think, as I recall.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good that was a good trip. That was a good trip on my end too. I mean, I had a great time in Italy for the time that I was able to afford to get out there. So that was absolutely an amazing time.
Yeah, and I know we ate up like a day and a half when we missed the flight on Alitalia out of LA. But well, we didn't miss it. We didn't make it because the numbers that they gave us were not. I don't think they were accurate or something, and
And
they're not
and,
Alitalia employees either. They're
and I think it was like one of the first flights they've ever operated because it was contractors at that station, and it was a
right.
very new flight for them. So I'm not sure 100% if they actually jived the numbers right, but I think we lost only maybe half a day because I knew with that flight we were supposed to get in like in the late afternoon into Italy. So instead of getting in the late afternoon, we end up getting in early morning the next day. So we only ate it maybe like
Right.
half a day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good time though.
It was a great time though. It was awesome. And with that, you'd like to be a guest on another show eventually? My friend?
Eventually, yeah. We got to travel somewhere together again.
Absolutely, we have to. We have to.
What's your plans in the near future if they were to release you, say, in a month or a couple of weeks? Any plans?
No, I have no plans. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I would like to do like South Pacific, like Fiji, Tahiti. I
Oh
would like
yeah.
to do, go back to Europe, maybe South Africa once they get a new South African carrier because South African got liquidated. So now they're going to have a new carrier now in South Africa.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, all this dust has to settle first to figure out what's going to happen. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
lots of places to do and see, but we have to wait to see what happens with the industry. So,
Yeah. Like I said, I think we're gonna finish up the United States and cruise around the United States, hit Boston and Maine and probably Niagara Falls. We've done Niagara Falls before, but it's always a cool place to go check out. Yeah, stay in the United States for
in
the
the
rest of
United States,
for the rest of this year, I guess. So it's all good.
it's all good, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing me to have you.
Right on.
And with that, this is the TGE Travel Chronicles, TGE Quarantine Chronicles. Till next time, guys. See ya.